moving on. Discuss the situation that undocumented immigrants face as they migrate through Mexico to the U.S., as portrayed by the Which Way Home documentary that we watched in class. So they must cross the desert in Rio Grande. Many people are vulnerable, including women and children, who are often forced to immigrate alone. They must ride a train, commonly known as La Bestia, where they encounter grave risks, such as falling off the train. The documentary whips of children breaking their arms while on the train. Many immigrants get sick on their way. They may starve to death. They may get their products or anything stolen. They may get raped, or they may die as a result of the temperature, whether that is too cold or too hot. How is the issue of immigration treated in the Catechism of the Catholic Church and the Compendium of the Social Doctrine of the Church? So the Catechism teaching us that there is a moral duty to welcome foreigners for us, given they also have natural rights. Political authorities should see the welcoming as a natural right, and they should also be aware of the laws surrounding it. On the contrary, immigrants must also respect with gratitude the heritage of the country that receives them. The Compendium, on the other hand, is knowledgeable and understanding of the high risk that face back at their home countries. They affirm that they must be welcomed to the country and properly integrated into the society by regulating immigration according to the criteria of equity and balance. The conditions of increased work opportunity in their places of origin must also be promoted while curing all dysfunctions. Discuss current developments related to the family separation of migrants, as well as DACA. This one, it's just freezing years now. So the DREAM Act is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. This is a potential legislation that must be passed by Congress and signed by the President into law. So it's not yet been passed, just so you know. Whereas DACA is an executive order signed by ex-President Obama in June 2012. Presently, children have been separated from their families despite increased efforts to terminate this action. Many children are now living in shelters and have not yet been reunited with their family members. How does the care for the environment relate to Catholic theology in general? How does it relate in particular? So this is one of those questions that you may want to do a little bit more research on. However, in general, nature is in God's creation. So when we talk about ruining our environment, of course we got to talk about the religion itself, of course. But in Genesis, specifically, God says He says how good it was, and that's like a repetition that comes back in the Bible. So that may be one specific example. Describe the flow of e-waste from the U.S. to China. So the waste of old products, which are replaced with far more modern devices in the U.S. There are over 1 million cell phones tossed in a year in the U.S. Recycling industries ship this waste overseas to vulnerable countries. They are not recycling with special permission. Waste is being piled up in the most vulnerable areas while burning it. People are extracting metals through these damaging processes. Women are affected from their pregnancies, and children have lead compounds in their blood. This all physically affects local members in China. But this is just one example on how Americans are so concerned with their stuff, not really caring about other people. What sort of human activity, according to scientific consensus, is causing climate change? What are greenhouse gases? So coal, oil, gasoline, natural gases, all these are releasing carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is necessary to sustain life on Earth. However, there aren't enough trees that can absorb it. Pollution is causing climate change. Greenhouse gases trap heat in the atmosphere, which make Earth warmer. It absorbs infrared radiations. People are getting electricity from coal or burning gases. So there you go. Explain Elizabeth Grove's argument that climate change is a life issue. How will climate change impact human beings, according to her article? Let me switch my hand one more time because it hurts a little bit more. Okay. So great. She explains how extreme weather will happen in the short term, and in the long term, human civilization will be at stake. She affirms that the climate is changing because of the greenhouse effect. They're just staring at me. Anyway, she explains how we will see the global yields of many crops diminish. She quotes many examples of places that are already seeing impacts, such as the European Alps, which have already lost 50% of their glacial mass. She cites other examples like sea level rise, ocean decline, extreme weather events, and mass extinctions. She talks about positive feedbacks, which are processes that take a small change in temperature and amplify it with exponential effect. So a small thing that causes even bigger things, pretty much. A key feature of positive feedback is thus that small disturbances get bigger. When a change occurs in the system, positive feedback causes further change in the same direction. She makes future perspectives, such as the one in Vatican, is done by installing solar panels, among other things. So just make sure you look at this article just so you have an idea of what happens and what she's talking about. So what parts of the world will suffer most as a result of climate change? What parts of the world will have contributed to the most? Okay, so the parts that suffer the most is, of course, the vulnerable ones, such as They allude to Africa a lot in this article, but the countries that are contributing the most right now is, of course, China, the United States. We have, I believe, we have other countries such as Europe, continents, but the U.S. is a main contributor to this effect. So what else? Discuss the major themes of Pope Francis' encyclical Laudatio Si. So the 5 themes of Laudatio Si, which becomes, I didn't even say that right, did I? So it means be praised, and it was by Pope Francis. So we have some things like, we have inflicted harm by our irresponsible use and abuse of sin. Francis is the first pope to express concern about the environment. So Paul IV, John Paul II, Benedict XIV, all they do. There's openness to truth wherever it's to be found. Openness to the findings of climate scientists. Environmental degradation is bad for all, but most especially the poor. Population control isn't the solution. So in this, he's pretty much saying that we need to blame extreme and selective consumerism, not population. That's not the choice. Alright guys, good luck!